What a weekend of racing action we have got. We're going to preview 8 races between Newbury and Newcastle, and also a couple of great ones at Fairyhouse this weekend. And of course, on Monday, we'll review the action on our Road to Cheltenham series. Don't forget, like, subscribe. We'll let you know whenever we have a Punters to our Road to Cheltenham coming along to you. Frankie and Joel are alongside me. Are we looking forward to this weekend, boys? We fancy a few, do we?
I think there's a few winners to be had. I like this weekend at Newbury particularly. I think it's a good card. No superstars and not like the best Hennessy in the world, but every race is competitive enough. I think it's a good card.
There may be some superstars of the future, though, Joel.
Yeah, there could be. And I think I'm quite happy that Constitution Hill hasn't turned up in the fighting fifth, because I think the top tier of the market wouldn't turn up. Nami and Line would be there, and we watch probably Constitution Hill 20% fit with 3 legs. Winning at 1-20. So it's more a betting race this weekend if you've got a strong opinion. And I think I really have this weekend. So nice little weekend last weekend as well. Venetia Williams did everybody a favour, and she's not to be ignored. Not to be ignored this weekend.
Well, she's got a chance in the big one, of course, the former Hennessy a little later on. But let's get stuck into the action then. And I'm going to start in the 154 at Newbury. It's a 2.5 mile handicap here. I'm going to start with Frankie because he sent me a message yesterday with the horse's name on. I'm guessing he's going to be quite strong on Impose Trois. Am I right, Mr. Foster?
I do think he has a great chance, yes. The ground getting softer would be not quite in his preference, but he might just be good enough anyway. That next second to Lucia at Ascot last year is pretty solid form. He has to be better than a mark of 134, and I know he's at the top of the market in a decent handicap, but I don't really think you can ignore him, and Nicky Henderson obviously does well at this meeting. The other one, though, that is more than a fair price, in my opinion, is Any Harm in Asking for our man John Joe. Second in the race last year off £1 higher. Has had a good return run at Cheltenham when running third. He ticks so many boxes at an each way price. I'd be really disappointed if he wasn't in the first 3. I just think Impose Trois could be a fair bit better than the field.
Do you know what Any Harm in Asking is famous for? What's the only thing he's done that no horse has ever done?
Beaten Constitution Hill.
He knew. Right, Joel. Any Harm in Asking Impose Trois for Frankie? Do you concur, or are you going elsewhere?
I think Guard the Moon for me. 8-1 at time of recording on Friday afternoon for Nigel and Sam. Nige, 20% strike rate at the minute. I looked at that 2-length second to Harbour Lake at Aintree, 9th of November. And then Harbour Lake got beaten half a length by Supreme Gift yesterday at Market Raisin. Back down in trip. Bare form figures are the ones that light up any punter's eyes. And at 8-1, with a real ground concern for me for Impose Trois, I really, really like Guard the Moon, 8-1.
Okay, then 3 between you then in the 154. Then we move on to the Jerry Fielden at 225, a 2 mile handicap. And lots of eyes here on Jericho de Repine for many reasons. Obviously, a very good novice last year, pulled up on the Supreme, and then no idea what happened in his chasing debut. Reverts back to hurdles here, but a wide open competitive contest, Joel.
Yeah, Jericho de Repine has drifted every time I've opened the Racing Post app. It was 3-1 yesterday afternoon. Now, time of recording, 6-1 now. Look, last year, the Supreme Good Thing drifted and went off 11-1 and then got pulled up when Hendo just obviously wasn't in form. Do we just put a line through that? Do we believe Nicky this time and say it's never happened before? Is it one of those, never happened before, Gov? It's the first time ever I've got into a car without a driving license or any insurance. It's the first and only time, a bit like jockeys when they got caught for taking things. It's the first and only time it's ever happened, and they must just generally be unlucky. So I got it between that and Bally for Hobbs and White, the good firm of solicitors. The last few seasons, I used to be a massive fan of Philip Hobbs years ago. And the last few seasons, the first trainer I put a line through. This year, they're at a 26% strike rate. And I think this horse will try and make all. Last seen at Haydock in May, it was sweating up really badly beforehand. And I was pulled up before the last. And what price is Bally here? Bally is
16s.
16s. So I would probably split my stakes on Jericho de Repine for the win, because it'll either win or be pulled up. I think it's the class horse in the race, and Bally each way for an informed Hobbs and White team, as long as we got the sat nav for the jock.
I think this is Dan Barber's horse to follow for the year as well, Bally, or certainly one that he really quite liked the look of. So that's interesting after the wind up. Frankie, what do you like in the Jerry Fielder?
If I couldn't see any prices over the last few days, I would really give Jericho de Repene a chance. I mean, 2 P's next to his name obviously makes his price better to start with anyway. But just the fact that he jumped like a lunatic last time out might be because it was fences and not hurdles and nothing to do with how he is at home. And, you know, when he was pulled up at Cheltenham, Henderson horses were all being pulled up. So there are excuses for those 2 Ps. And I don't think he's a superstar. I'm not saying that he's, you know, like a grade 1 mystical power Sagino type horse, but he goes off a 135 and a handicap. Even you look at Lump Sum, who he was beating last year pretty comfortably. He's been winning handicaps off the same mark. So like when you run the numbers on it, I do feel like he should be able to win. I just don't love the fact he's not being supported in the market. So kind of holding my chips for now and seeing what he does. If he continues to drift, you can't back him. But if he hangs around 5-1, I'll give him a chance.
The stable lads and lasses, I'm sure, got their money's worth last time. They're not reinvesting. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, look, I agree with Joel as well. I probably wouldn't back him each way. I think he'll win or he won't. Or obviously, he'll win.
Yes, Frankie!
He'll either win or he won't.
But, you know, 135 for a decent horse, and horses he's beaten last year have gone on to be rated higher than that, and it's not the strongest handicap in the world. I think you've got to give him a chance, unless the market really puts you off.
Okay. Let's have a look at the big one then, the Coral Gold Cup, the Hennessy, as of course it was known. 14 go to post. Is it as simple as V for Victorino, V for Venetia, V for Victory? It was last weekend, Joel, because I know you mentioned a name at the top of the show. Is this the one you like?
There's 2 I like in this. One, I like Venetia's horse, but one at a silly price, and you'll probably both go, oh my God, another one of these. Oh no.
Oh my God, another one of these.
Yeah, another one of these. A 12-year-old. Look, Sam Brown, 40-1. 40-1, best price at the minute, right? And it's probably been dismissed because it is 12 years old. But look, he's 4 lengths third behind the Real Whacker and Brave Man's Game. He hits a flat spot. He stays on. Freddie takes off the 3. Likes to hit the frame at a big price as well. 1 length second to Cruise Control at Aintree at 20-1. I was looking back at that today. He'll run his race. He'll hit his flat spot and stay on. So between the Venetias and Sam Brown. In fact, I'm a little bit stronger on Sam Brown to run a place. 12-year-old, been dismissed, 40-1, best price. Come on, it's got to be worth a bit of fun, isn't it?
Frankie, can you bring some sanity to the show, please?
Could go the other end of the market. There's loads of horses in here that I've kind of enjoyed following. Galia de Lateau being one of them. Immediately, she hit the shortlist and is the pick of Harry Scouten over last year's Challenger Midnight River. Victorino, we all had a good time of last season, but maybe an Ascot specialist. I would forget all of your own notes and opinion in this race and just watch the interviews that Henry de Bromhead's done. And as an interviewer, a broadcaster, you can ask as many questions as you like about, will the trip be right, the ground, the weights, the competition? And the only answer he gave pretty much said, we think he's better than his mark and we've got a great chance. And he couldn't say any more than that. And it gave me the same sort of feeling as when he was doing interviews pre-Dante at York and basically saying, we've got one really well handicapped here. I think he seems really, really confident and you'd be silly to ignore it. So I'd be going with Senior Chief. I know I've just put up 3 favs in 3 very competitive handicaps, but I'm well to listen to Henry de Bromhead. When there's plenty of angles in with other horses. He just seems really strong on it, and they obviously think it's better than its mark and the field.
Yeah, he's closely matched a Broadway boy on there. Cheltenham running after that £9 hike. So, Senior Chief for Frankie. Right, let's look at the last then, the 325. Yeah, of course you can.
Ask Frankie a question. Because you get to interview these trainers and whatever. Is Henry de Bromhead, quite reliable? He's quite honest. He's not one of the ones that bigs him up or pulls him down or something. Because I've only met him once and he just seemed a lovely fella. But I didn't want to go in and say, what about this one you've got in the bumper tomorrow? Or, what's this novice hurdle like? Is he one to rely on? Yeah,
he's pretty straight. I think if anything, he has half a smile when he likes one. I don't think his poker face is as good as some.
Did he have that?
I do think when he's John. Well, I suppose when you're trying to answer questions and maybe make excuses ahead of time, you start to dive into different angles. Whereas when he is confident, he will just say, "We think we've got a good chance," and that's the end of it, really. And that's what I was getting out of some interviews he's done ahead of this. So they obviously have a good chance, and he knows what he's doing.
Interesting. Okay, in Henry de Bromhead, Frankie, trust then for that Coral Gold Cup. Let's look at the Jim Joel Trophy. I'll start. To the point, start with Frankie because you're going to pick Imperial Saint, any other favourite. Joel, should we start with you instead?
Yeah, I think we're looking at nappity nap time here. Petit Tonnerre for look, JP's having a great time of it at the minute, isn't he? He's having some gambles land. He's having some younger horses do things. He's running at 15%. John Joe trains. Hasn't won since his British debut. I think it was a 3-runner race, wasn't it, in February 2022. Only 3/4 of a length behind Imperial Saint. However, I was looking down at the weights that day. I look, Petit Tonnerre is off 127 now, well handicapped. Last time, Petit Tonnerre was off 11.4 and Imperial Saint was 11.3. And this weekend, Petit Tonnerre 11.1 and Imperial Saint 11.12. I think, they're pulling the weights and being one of the best handicapped horses in the field, if not in the country, if not in the world. I think I've just written down today is the day. Nap material for me. Petit Tonnerre. And we're drifting as well, but don't matter when they drift. JP goes in there late.
Wow. And honestly, it would have been long odds that you've been napping Petit Tonnerre today. Frankie, where'd you go?
Quite like Issar Dairy, who was second to our mate Marta Tour at Ascot last time out, which reads as very good form. And he won twice at the track last year. Niall Houlihan is a jock I think we all think a lot of, and I'd say he's got a good chance at a track he performs well at probably a very soft 5-1 each way poke, as there could be JP Christmas present or Imperial Saint graded horse lurking above him, but he's sure to run well.
Okay, Issa Derry then. That's Newbury wrapped up. Let's look at the big one at Newcastle as the Grade 1 fighting 5th. Biggest field since 2006. Brentford Hope is out. Harry Darren pulled his horses out. It's going to be decent ground up there at Newcastle, which we're not really accustomed to this time of year. Is it as simple as a match, Frankie, between Sir Gino, Nick Henderson has farmed this race in recent years, and Willie Mullins' Mystical Power, or is it something you fancy to sneak in the frame?
I think it's a match, but the bet wasn't it? 20-1 lump sum each way at the start of the week. The horse that I couldn't remember what it was called. But with Brentford Hope out, I'd be quite keen that would be your 1, 2, 3. That the market's got it right, and I think the market's got it right with Gino just edging out Mystical Power. This sounds really harsh on Mystical Power, saying he's not a superstar because he was second at Cheltenham, then he won a Grade 1 at Aintree, then he won a Grade 1 over in Ireland. So he's a Grade 1 horse. He's very, very solid. I just think Sir Gino out of the two is the one most likely to have that X factor. Just be like top class. Maybe. Our eyes could be deceiving us because he's been in weaker fields and he's looked flashy, but he just looks like seriously good. The way that he cruises, the way that he quickens when asked. I'm hoping he's the one that is, not just a Grade 1 horse, but like another level above that. So he edges it for me out of the two. I think it is a match and it's a great race. And I don't think Lump Sum will disgrace himself either. I don't think those two will be streets ahead of everyone.
Okay. Frankie goes for the favourite, Joel.
There's a shock now. He also said it'll either win or lose. So
he'll win or it won't.
Can we ask the question for anybody who is not the racing anorak? Why is Mystical Power now running in Susanna Ritchie's colours?
They've always had a sharing, actually. It ran in JP's colours last year, but it's actually owned by JP McManus, the Magniers, and Mrs. Susanna Ricci. So it's always been the same. It's just this time it's in the pink and blue, pink and green.
Next season will be in the dark blue.
Yes, sir.
Wow. A bit like Denman.
Yeah.
Well, not the same colours at all, but just change the colours.
No. What wins it?
Well, look, Sergino for me. And again, I pretty much copy and paste to what Frankie says. And a bit harsh on Mystical Power, but just looks, just so exciting, so exciting. And maybe he wasn't coming down this route. Well, definitely wasn't. Was going chasing. But you look at lump sum. Sam Thomas, Saturday Sam, 57%, 4 from 7. He had that bumper horse yesterday, well backed, and they sprinted for a furlong and a half at the end in terms of a massive sprint, and he knew what he had there as well. And the lad Dylan Johnson, hopefully Sam can keep hold of him. I think he's a tremendous young talent. So lump sum, probably, and listen to what Sam says, would have to step up a lot, but you've got to throw him in there to try. But for me, I would go Sergino to beat lump sum and Mystical Power for another day.
Okay, interesting then. Right, let's look at the last at Newcastle. I mean, it's always been a good race, which is surprising me because it's a £70,000 staying handicap chase on the same day as you got the Hennessy, and you're kind of taking the same pool of horses. But to be fair, it's held up. We've got 13 runners in it this year, Joel, and it's as competitive as it should be, around about 5-1 on the field. Yeah,
every couple of weeks, I tell you, I was at Cheltenham on New Year's Day this year. Ferrero Bamboo, Venetia's. Came second to Shake 'em Up Harry. Look, she's on 33%. It's her time of year. The horse has done nothing since, but it's a bit like certain trainers that you look at and you don't even look at the form figures. It's the ground, it's a certain time of year or whatever. Charlie's back from his concussion and he's riding brilliantly, but as is Ned Fox as well. Done nothing wrong since pulled up twice. 6 in the plate at Cheltenham at the festival. 7 lengths behind Shake 'em Up Harry then. Hung right. It's off 127 now. I think it's well handicapped, and you keep backing Venetia horses until it gets dry, so to speak, until the well is dry. So Ferrero Bamboo, a little bit shorter than I thought it would be, but the horse has got talent, but just hasn't showed it the last, nearly a year.
Okay, sticking with Venetia then, Frankie. What wins the rehearsal?
What do we think?
That's the question.
I'll give you 2 for favourite's sake. Didn't we all back the change? Didn't we all put the changing man up for the Badger?
Oh, when he came down?
Yeah. I mean, if anyone listened to the show pre-Badger Beer, off his best form, he could be 15-20 pounds well in. It's probably not as straightforward as that because he's not so consistent, but he does have some talent. And when he came down in the Badger, there was a group of 4 of them, and they were really, in a race of their own by that point. In that 4 was Al Dancer, who won, Lord Accord, who came second, and Remastered, who was going really well and also fell. So you'd say he would have had a good chance as he was travelling with those 4, and he's off the same mark. They're now in even better form, Joe Tizard and Brendan Powell. I think he's got a massive chance, but because I can't just go through the show going fab, I also do like Jet Plane.
Why? That's your job.
Was beaten by Jaguar, only a length, and then Jaguar next time out of Banger bolted up by 3 or 4 lengths off, I think, a further £6 and has gone up again for that. So Jet Plane probably has a bit of juice in his mark. If you look at when he's won, he's always winning on kind of a good to soft surface around this sort of trip. So I think it suits. My only worry is the races that he's won compared to the races he's been beaten. He's kind of picked up some easy wins at some lesser tracks and lesser horses. So this is a bigger test. But Jet Plane, a good each way bet. Changing Man will win though.
Okay, right. That's Saturday's action on the TV wrapped up. A couple of grade ones we'll look at Fairyhouse, though, on Sunday, starting with the Drimball. So cracker, Firefox, Hartwood have stood their ground. Gorgeous Tom did it very nicely last time out as well. Surprisingly, no Willie Mullins run. It's just Gordon Elliott versus Henry de Bromhead. Joel, what do you like here?
Well, I'm a bit scared of some of the Willie Mullins horses, to be fair, because, we had a private message about, has he got the Hendo flu? What's going on? Has he borrowed the bubble wrap or whatever? He took 9 of them out at Turnus yesterday. It's one of these that I love to watch. I was just looking at the anti-post prices. Firefox, 66-1 for the champion hurdle. let's have a look at that. Do you know what? Again, Frankie mentioned this earlier on about looking at the race without the prices, and he's got a bit to find because he ran a couple of grade 3s last couple of times out. Gorgeous Tom, I actually quite liked, beating Monbeg Park, 5.5 lengths at Cork early November. And then Fell went favourite at Tipperary, but was going well. Right, look, that was a grade 3 as well. Got to step up, but two of them are going to head the market, and I think Gorgeous Tom will just drift. And it would be just a bit of fun for me because I haven't got a massive opinion between Firefox and Heartwood. I couldn't tick one way or the other. I would be just playing red or black, but I might play the green 0 and go for Gorgeous Tom. And if he drifts out to a 10-1, it'll be a little 5 fun play for me. But it's good horse. Got to step up a little bit though. But I really like that horse.
Okay, Gorgeous Tom then for Joel. Frankie?
There's an absolute lucky 63 this weekend, isn't there? Just entertain me. Slade Steele was beaten, wasn't he, on his Chase debut? I'm just trying to find out what price.
Better days ahead, wasn't it?
Yeah, who obviously was also a very good hurdler. Anyway, he went off 1-2 and was beaten by a Cheltenham Festival winner. If Mystical Power was going chasing in a race like this, like what would he be going off? Something as short as that, 4-6, something like that. Mm-hmm. Firefox, because he didn't win one of those races, although he finished behind Slade Steele and Mystical Power, he hasn't got that kind of novice hurdle superstar title, but he's almost as good as them, and I think he deserves to be shorter than he is, considering he's already won over fences. And if you think Slade Steele and Mystical Power are as good as they are, then he's exactly the same as them, in my opinion. Okay,
so Firefox then for Frankie.
We make it a full weekend of favourites. Do you think we can go?
Well, the thing is, I don't know if you can do it for this one because I don't know what's going to go off favourite. It looks a match, doesn't it? It's the Hatton's Grace. It is a match. Are you a Maxim or are you a Beacon Edge man? No, Tia Poo versus Lottymouth. We had Applegate land the hat-trick. Then Honeysuckle came into the fray and landed a hat-trick in this race. And Tia Poo is on a hat-trick, but Lottymouth stands in his way. What a race this is. It's Elliott versus Mullins. It's Kennedy versus Townend. It's Tia Poo versus Lottymouth. It's a he versus her. What a contest, Frankie.
It is a cracker. I am a Maxim fan, though. I backed him at 28-1 when he won the DRF.
Frankie, you don't do outsiders.
No, I'll be honest with you. He was taking the price. He thought it said 2.8. Not 28-1.
This is, it's obviously a Tia Poo versus Lottymouth. And as you teed up beautifully, trainers and jockey matches, this is proper. I'm hoping Lottymouth gets more market support. I feel like she will closer to the off, especially I think UK racing fans seem to have really latched onto her, maybe more than the Irish punter. And I'd say she might go off Fav, but I'd be sticking with the reigning champion Tia Hooper, especially if it's yielding or soft ground. It's over 2.5, could get a little bit messy. Lottymouth's first start of the season, she'd probably have the festival in mind much more so than this. Who knows why she didn't run last week? There's a lot of question marks, put it that way, about a flash horse that could just get done for a bit of grunt. And I love Tia Hooper. I think he's a proper horse. So I'd have him for the treble.
One tick for Tia Hooper, Joel?
Well, he's got to win the stayers, isn't he? I love the horse. 2-1 for the stayers now. Lottymouth, 16 for the stayers. Ain't going there. 5-2 champions. I think they'll go mares. I think they'll probably go mares at 4-1. Obviously, got to take on Bright. Is it Bright Days Ahead? Yeah. But I'd go there. Make it a race. I was listening to Ruby Walsh this morning because on these races, you are
talking about falling off his chair. If Lottymouth
too right. But he was saying that look, Beacon Edge will probably make the run in. Lottymouth is the class angle, and Tia Poo will be written out the back, to use a stamina or whatever. And apart from that, he didn't really tell me who was going to win. And I thought I'd go against Frankie here. I think Lottymouth will have too much speed for Tia Poo. I really do. So I think she looks class. We don't know why she didn't run last week, but I think she'll have too much class. So I will take you on with Lottymouth. As much as I love Tia Poo as a horse, like you said, proper horse, I would go Lottymouth in this, and I'd put that in my little lucky at the weekend. And of course, it's the final leg, so you know what always happens, Frankie.
Yeah, it'll come second. Interesting. Going down to the other two, I'll make it a test, I'd imagine, and try and make it a stamina test for Tia per one would have thought. But you're right. If they don't get a crawl, it's going to suit Lossymouth. So tactics will be all important in the Haddon's Grace. Right, boys. We will start with Frankie first. What's your best bet of the weekend?
One that I gave a shout to at the start of the year, Romeo Coolio, who also goes on Sunday at Fairyhouse. He's about even money. I think he is a certainty.
Okay, Romeo Coolio. I should say. Go on then. Elaborate a little bit more.
You want my reasoning?
Yeah.
He's a novice hurdler to follow. I think he's Gordon Elliott's best novice hurdler. He was second in the champion bumper last year, beaten at Punchestown, but that's end of season stuff. We don't mind too much about that. I think he's pretty tough. Again, yielding ground will be nice, and he's already got a run under his belt. You're looking at the rest of the field. Beluccia was a horse that ran at Ascot, I'm not going to say an average hurdler, especially not as his own by my old housemate. Blue Devasi is also trained by Gordon Elliott, and I don't think the field's anywhere near as good. I think he's a proper grade 1 horse, and he's in a semi-okay grade 2. 11 to 10 looks great.
Did your ex-flatmate, housemate, whatever, give you the heads up on this and give you the yes tick? We're off. We're going. We're winning.
For Ascot, yeah, I get it put it up at Ascot, didn't I? Oh, actually, we don't do the Punters guide, do we, at Ascot? But I did put it up for Ascot, yeah. Was fancied.
Yeah, I remember you putting it. We had a great day, didn't we, Frankie?
Wait.
Oh, dear. Go on then, Joe. What's your best bet of the weekend?
A horse that hasn't won for nearly 3 years. Petit Tonnerre, I think one of the most well-handicapped horses in the country. Turn around at the weights with Imperial Saint. It is drifting. And then once JP sticks the money on when the price is right, gets a few quid in the satchel for Christmas, I'm pretty confident. I'm really confident. Petit Tonnerre, today is the day, 3:35 at Newbury. Stay with us.
We're live. Right. Brilliant stuff. 8 races covered then. Well, 9 if you keep Frankie's best bet. And we'll dissect all the action in Road to Cheltenham on Monday. So make sure you join us for that as well. Right. Cheers to the boys. Hopefully have a few winners this weekend. Whatever you're back in, the very best of luck.